G'day everyone, doing an update today on the apple trees that are disease resistant here in Cork in Ireland. It's a nice summery day in August. My poor apple trees though have suffered Storm Betty and have lost a lot of their apples, and I've also pruned them back because I'm here to fix up the garden for a while. So let's start on the Mavka apple, which is showing really good signs of disease resistance in the leaves. Looks like codling moth has attacked this one lonely little apple, and there's a bunch of apples down here, and these guys look in trouble. So that's definitely a disease. And look at that, they're bunching like crab apples. Sorry about the lighting, it's very difficult. Okay, look at that. Reminds me a lot of crab apples. These leaves are a bit sick as well. And just showing that that is the actual tree. It's not rootstock. Okay. They don't have a label on this tree, so I'll have to refer back to what it was. You can see these leaves are a bit sickly. That looks like scorching from drought. So these trees are on a wall and they get hammered with the afternoon sun. Well, hammered in Ireland, so take that as you may. So I'd say that it's just suffering from lack of water. And as a result of the lack of water, the growth of the apples will be stunted. That one actually looks like it's got a bit of core. Water core, a bit of pit. From the look of that apple, a bit worried about that. You know, I'd say these trees out the front, because it's a slightly harsher growing condition, are going to take another couple of years to mature into stronger trees before I start getting any decent apples off them. And they are young as well. I mean, when they are fully grown against this wall that gets the afternoon sun, there'll be a nice shape. Like this one's starting to find its own fan shape. Again, it's got evidence of the same scorching and burning from too much sun and not enough water. I'd say that this just heats up sometimes a bit too much. There's a lonely little apple up here. Looks very good though. Only one little blemish. Oh, those apples are in big trouble. They've rotted out. There's another nice little one. Very hard in this harsh afternoon sunlight, but no blemishes on that little apple. Oh, there is a tag down here, sorry. This is the Teremok. So far, surviving. The apples are the main thing. The apples are looking disease resistant. Maybe there's hope for this one. Now this is the red Windsor. I remember this one, because I really liked this apple and I did a good taste test on it. But this year these apples are just in big trouble. They actually look like they've been dehydrated. They're like sticky to touch, still hard, but they look like they've been in a fruit bowl for a month, even though they're not fully developed. My fingers are waxy just from touching them now. That one's got some codling moth damage. Leaves are showing the same scorch, but there's no major scab issues. That's the main thing here in Ireland. No major scab issues. The apples themselves, apart from that codling moth damage, are actually looking okay. I'm just going to say that they're little because of the drought. The tree has probably been sucking on the water contained in those fruits to survive. And that's okay. As this gets bigger and stronger, gets a better root system, it will do better. And it's a great tasting apple, well worth holding on to. What have I got here? This is a Retina apple. The Retina apple at the end here is doing very well. And again, with the windfall at the end of August here, so that's very early for Ireland to have an apple that's ready. Normally they're ready at the end of September. These apples that were fallen on the ground today, I had a couple of them and they tasted good. Reminded me of an early apple that didn't have a complex flavor and was just really pleasant to eat. Better than a store-bought apple. No blemishes really on them. I think one that I had a bit of spot on it, maybe like a bit of spot up here on this one. See behind there? It's hard to show. Sunlight. There it is. But they tasted good. So I think as this tree gets larger, and it is the largest of all those trees, and the oldest, probably by only about a year or so, but that means that it's getting better and stronger, and the apples are good, there's no diseases, the leaves look good. I mean, that's a great apple, that Retina. That's been a real success, and I'm glad I had a chance to plant it and grow it, because you know everyone talks about the Retina being a great disease-resistant apple, and I'd never tried one. Can't get one in a store, and there it is, growing really well. The last apple that I've got out in my front garden is the Retina. I'll just double check that. Yep, Retina. Now these apples are really good, and the leaves are looking okay. I mean, this is the sort of damage that you can see. So it's resisting that. It's not doing as well as the other trees. Look at that curl. But the main thing here is that these apples, they're not looking great. I'm worried about them. I don't think they're going to come good this year. So, I mean, some have fallen on the ground. Here's one. I mean, that looks slightly deformed. There's one on the ground here. Some bugs are enjoying it. But in terms of disease resistance, you know, look at those apples. They look pretty good. I mean, all these disease-resistant apples seem like their leaves might get affected in certain areas of the tree, but the apples themselves are still mostly good. Let's just say that there's, you know, 80% or more of these apples, if you water the tree and look after it, come good by themselves without any spray. It's a big bunch down here, but anything close to the ground tends to suffer. The Retina is definitely worth holding on to. The tree's growing fairly well. I mean, it's next to this laurel hedge, which is sucking all the water out of the soil, which isn't great. And it's next to another tree called Apricera, which is on quite an aggressive rootstock and is growing fairly well. And then add in a Himalayan birch as well for measure. I mean, these poor trees they're not in the greatest position out here, and still producing quite a good tree. And then if you want to compare that to this gauge that I'm growing, it's struggling. I mean, like, it's definitely struggling. Look at that, it needs more water. This other one died completely, unfortunately. The rootstock is sprouting out of that. And this top taste plum down the end, it looks really, really in trouble. I mean, if I had the time, I'd dig it up and move it out in my back garden, because I know this is a good plum. But here it is next to this laurel, and it's looking really thirsty. It's not, and it should be doing a lot better than this, because it is a good growing tree. My two apples in the corner, the rootstock shot out of that one because the top died, and that apple died as well. They got eaten around the base, unfortunately, and ring barked. That's the end of them. Okay, so there's my update of the front garden apple trees, the disease-resistant ones here in Cork. I'll continue to keep growing these. I still think it's really worthwhile for the home gardener to grow these apples. Life's busy, time is hard to come by. The older that you get, the more commitments you have with family and work. And if you can plant these in the ground, do even once a month get out there and just make sure that the bugs are taken care of, you're pruning in the right way, or that it gets a bit of water in that month that we sometimes have in Ireland in summer where there's no rain. Just those little things will give you a really good crop of apples. Okay, thanks for watching.